Sri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Sathya Loka Gurukulam. Free online classes in science. We are discussing about friction. In your daily life you come across the word friction. There will be friction of words. Of course you shouldn't have. Sometimes it comes knowingly or unknowingly. And your friction of rubbing your hands, is it not? Friction of pulling things, pushing things, your tables, benches, desks. Is it not? The word friction you use every day in different situations, correct? Let's just recall what we have studied earlier. So, friction depends on the nature of the surface in contact. So, there will be two surfaces. Friction will be there between two surfaces, say ball and the floor, bat and the ball, correct? Your hands and the book. So, two surfaces. So, it depends on the nature of substances. If the surfaces are very smooth, the friction is less. If the surfaces are rough and tough, the friction is more, we say, correct? And there are three kinds of frictions we have studied in the previous class. One is static friction. Static friction means when a body is at rest and we are pushing it from that rest position. That is called static friction. Suppose you want to push your friend sitting by your side. He is sitting there, seriously. You want to push him up. For pushing, what you must do? You must do all techniques. He will be very strong. He says, I don't go. No, he should go. That is called static friction. So, you will try to push him off from the place. Correct? Then you have sliding friction. Sliding friction comes when the body is moving. For example, when a ball, when hit by a batsman, will move for some distance and stops. When a vehicle is going, when brakes are applied, it stops. These are all called sliding friction. Rolling friction. Say for example, if the suitcase is very heavy, what do you do? There will be wheels connected to it. A special type of suitcase. You have seen it, especially those who go by flight. It's a common experience. You can see so many, even small children also can, shift their luggages easily by the help of the suitcase connected with the wheels. So that type of friction is called rolling friction. And friction will have both merits and demerits. Sometimes friction is necessary. Can you give examples where friction is necessary? Correct? If you are feeling very cold, you rub your hands to make it warm. Correct? And sometimes friction is not necessary. For example, you are playing carom. The board will be rough. What do you do for that? If you want to, hit the striker, it won't go easily. For that, what you do? You apply some powder and then strike it. So, friction has both merits and demerits. Is it not? The surface is smooth, you can easily push or pull the objects on the floor. So, there the smoothness of the floor where the friction is less is helpful. Is it not? So, like that you go on listing out. And also you have studied about causes of friction. What are the causes? Irregularities in the surface. The surface is not proper. Irregularity means not decent. Ups and downs. Then pressing of the surface, etc. Pressing means what? If the box is very heavy, light box can be easily pushed or pulled, but heavy box needs a lot of pressure. Correct? So these are some of the things we have seen in the previous class. Shall we go to the home assignment? How many have done it? Okay. So first question is, give one example to show that friction is both a friend and a foe. What is foe? Enemy. Means what? Merits of friction and demerits of friction. So what is that you can write for merits? To write on the blackboard with a chalk piece, friction is necessary. Suppose the blackboard is very smooth, it is difficult to write on that. You cannot have good handwriting. Suppose you are drawing it, it will be very difficult in that. So it will be little rough. Then only you can write it. And friction as an enemy or difficulty in friction. It can produce heat. See, production of heat during friction. For example, when a machine is operated, heat is generated. Have you observed? The pump set, for example, or the grinding machine, or the mixer, all these. When you switch on, the machine start working. When the machine start working, there will be heat produced. What does the heat do? There will be wastage of energy. Is it not? So that is an example for friction as an enemy. And next question, Ramu has to push a lighter box and Somu has to push a similar heavier box on the same floor. So there is a question of pushing the box. One is lighter, another is heavier. Who will have to apply larger force and why? Are you understanding question? Okay. So answer is, Somu has to apply a large force on the box than Ramu because the mass of the box is more. So Somu has to apply more pressure to overcome the friction. So if the mass is more, then its weight also becomes more and lot of force is to be applied. So if the force to be applied less means it must be lighter. Box should be lighter. For example, in your home you have got lot of luggages. All you cannot lift. Some of them you can lift. Small suitcase, small bag, bucket, small bucket you can lift. But if bucket is full of water, all cannot lift it because it is heavy. Heavy means what? There will be more friction. So if the mass is less, friction also is less. If the mass is more, friction will be more. Okay. One more question is there. The question is, give two examples to show that friction can produce heat. Come on, anybody? Think of the answers. Very simple question. Everyday experience. The one experience is rubber palms. What is palms? This portion is called palm. And rub like this for a few minutes. Come on, you try now. Sitting there. Rub your palms. Is it becoming hot? Yes. So that is an example for that. Second example will be when you strike a matchstick against the rough surface of a matchbox, it catches fire. Of course, nowadays you have got lighters. Very rarely they use matchstick. matchbox. But it's a common experience. Every matchbox contains about 50 matchsticks, and these matchsticks are prepared by some chemicals. And in a matchbox there will be one rough surface on either sides. It's called rough surface, made up of red phosphorus and glass pieces and so on. So when you strike it, that too one time it may not come. Sometimes it takes 2-3 times striking. Then only it catches fire. Correct? So these are the examples to show that friction can produce heat. Okay. Now we will pass on to today's topic. Friction is desirable in some situations. Means it is advantageous. It is helpful. See, what it is? This is shoes, pair of shoes. You cannot have one shoe, there should be pair of shoes. And these shoes will have what is called as sole. There will be sole in this. And the sole of the shoes is grooved. So you can see here, it is grooved because to make it rough. There are so many types of shoes. The most simplest is called canvas shoes, which usually cheap and best. Almost all boys or girls will buy it, especially for march past and all. It is very convenient. But for athletics, running race, and even for football, they want rough type of shoes with spikes also below it. So this type of shoes, soles is very advantageous for those who are very good sportsmen. And also you have seen about tires. In the vehicle, tire is compulsory, and what is called as threading of the tire. Means what? See, this tire is threaded here. It is not smooth, it is made rough. There will be a lot of ups and downs. Why it is made? To have a good grip. Why do you want grip? Because especially in tractors or in military tanks or in any heavy vehicle like jeeps and all, this is threaded very heavily so that it can withstand the mass. So in cars, trucks and bulldozers. What do you mean bulldozer? You have seen it? It replaces the work of about 30 to 40 members, also called JCB. Correct? And it can pull the sand or any material which is very heavy, and it can shift it to other places by the help of what is called as cranes. And tires of that bulldozers will be very much threaded. Lot of grips will be there because it is very heavy. It can do wonders, and nowadays it is common in all the places you can see this. Correct? So to have a better grip, these tires must be threaded. Friction is desirable in some situations. So we increase the friction by using brake pads in the brake system of the bicycles and automobiles. How many of you know cycling, scooter, driving, bikes? Of course, you are not permitted for scooter and bikes. Only cycle is okay, your age. Only after 18 you can use scooter or bike. No license will be given. And so when you put a brake, for example in bicycle, suppose some dog comes in between you and riding a bicycle, you put a brake, and there will be what is called as brake pads. What do brake pads do? They press against the tires. There will be what is called rim of the tire, and that will be pressed by the brake pad. And even automobiles also, like a scooter, bike and all, there will be brake pads. So they are very necessary for that. And you can see here kabaddi players, very enjoyable game, but you must be very careful. I don't know whether you have permitted to play games, kabaddi games. Because here what happens, see, there are hundreds of people seeing it, enjoying it. And while playing kabaddi, what happens, you want a very good grip, especially when the opponents come there. So to have a good grip, even in, what is this called? This is our Olympic champion from India, correct? So he is pushing. This is called as boxing. While boxing and playing kabaddi and all, they rub their hands with soil. Why do they rub the soil? To make their hands rough. Here also to catch the opponent now, you have to make their hands rough. How it will be done? It has to be done by applying sand on the hand, palms. So this sand will give a better grip in case of kabaddi or in case of boxing, something like even your weightlifting also. The grip must be very strong. There will be a bar in between two weights, and you should have a very good grip there. If the grip is not proper, you cannot lift it. Is it not? Weightlifting, you heard? Yeah, for that you want good stamina. Eat well, okay? See, what are these kids doing? They are playing carom. In carom you have got a striker, red colored queen, and black pawns and white pawns. So what they do for a easy games, or for the game to be successful, we have to sprinkle powder, special type of powder, not face powder. There will be carom powder only. They add it. What happens if it is added? You can easily strike it. Correct? So that is what she is doing now. So they added some powder here and they are enjoying the game. And she is pushing the striker. Striker will move fast only when there is a powder and the surface becomes smooth. Okay? So that is the advantage of friction. And in some machines, okay, the grease used between the moving parts of the machines, these substances are called lubricants. You might have seen, especially grinding machine or your water pumps and many machines like that. In factories also, this lubricant is compulsory. What you call it as grease also. Here there are two surfaces, surface 1, surface 2. There will be wear and tear when it continuously runs, no? When the machine runs continuously, there will be wear and tear. It makes sound also. To avoid that sound and wear and tear, they add grease. So devotion to God is like grease. And this is when we are working in a different situations, there will be little friction here and there. But if there is a grease of God's love or God's name, chanting of God's name, this friction will not be there, or it will be reduced. So, these substances which are used in the moving part of the machines are called lubricants. For example, grease is a lubricant. There are so many substances like that, reduces the friction. Heavy luggage are fitted with the rollers. So they are fitted, not filled, fitted with rollers. So what is rollers? The tires, this is called tires. There will be 2 tires. So for heavy bags and suitcase, etc., there will be rollers. When a child can push such pieces of luggage, small children also can push it from one place to another easily, correct? So that is why they put small wheels there for the suitcase or the bags and all that. And heavy luggage is to be shifted. Okay. Now how to reduce friction? Sometimes you have to reduce the friction also. Sometimes it is advantageous, sometimes disadvantageous. So here friction can be reduced by using what are called as ball bearings. These are called ball bearings. There will be balls here. You can see the balls here. And these balls are connected to machines. Even fans also, they contain that ball bearings. They have very good grip. You may be wondering sometimes when a fan is on, the wings that will make sound, gada 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 gada. Sometimes if they fall off, we feel like. So there, if you use the ball bearings, there is no fear that a fan may come down. It will be happy and safe. So to reduce the friction, we have used what is called ball bearings. For example, in fans, in bicycles, you have seen in bicycles, ball bearings in the middle, correct? So they are used to reduce the friction. Now let us come to what is called as fluid friction. What is a fluid? Fluid is the combination or the common name for gases and liquids. You heard about liquids? Water, milk, kerosene, etc. are called liquids. You also heard about gases, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, etc. So these two together are called fluids. And what is the common property here? They don't have shape of their own. Whichever vessel you put, that shape only they take it. So air is very thin and light, yet it exerts frictional force on objects moving through it. Similarly, water and other liquids exerts force of friction when objects move through them. For example, ship when it is moving in the sea, there will be friction between water and the ship, or a boat. Even if you are swimming, you experience kind of friction between water and your body. How many are swimming? Good. So also in air, think of aeroplane or rockets or jet planes, helicopter, etc., etc. The pilots will be knowing what is the pressure of the air around it. So then only they can operate properly. So there will be friction force in the movement of the objects on the air, like what I told now, plane, jet plane, etc. Also those bodies which move on the water, like ship, boats, etc. Even fishes also experience that. So in such cases, hence we can say that fluids also exert force of friction on objects in motion through them. In fishes also experience. But of course, it will be balanced by the force within. That's why it won't feel like. Even we also, so much of atmospheric pressure is around us, but we don't feel it because the pressure, atmospheric pressure inside our body and outside our body are balanced. Okay. For example, in one of the application of this fluid friction, so frictional force of an object on an object in a fluid depends on the speed with respect to the fluid. For example, if you say aeroplane, it moves with a velocity say 800 kilometers, 1000 kilometers, is it not? Or if you say rocket, it is about 11 kilometers per second. So you must know the speed. Even if you are swimming, you have your own speed, correct? And also the shape of the object and the nature of the fluid. Their shape also. For example, rockets, the shape is called streamlining. It has got a nozzle, sharp nozzle, so that it can go or penetrate to the atmosphere easily. Suppose it is made very big size, you cannot penetrate because the shape of the rocket is such that it can go easily in the atmosphere. Similarly, what you call ships or the boats are made like a fish only. It has got sharp endings in the two sides. And what about aeroplane? Aeroplane is made in the shape of a bird. As a bird has a wings, so also aeroplane will have wings here. Why do you want wings there? Just to balance it. Because aeroplane will be having four kind of force. One you may wonder that why not aeroplane come and fall on you. Even though it is so heavy, it won't fall. Because there will be what is called as upward thrust, one force. Another is downward thrust of the people inside or engine inside, etc. And third one is there will be a propeller which revolves. It makes it so. Another end is air drag, pressure of the air when it moves in the air. So how the aeroplanes are constructed? The shape of the bird, so as to reduce pressure of air. So the shape is made such that it can move in air easily. Okay, I think you can follow this. So this is about the friction in the fluids, means air and water. Okay. Now we will see some multiple choice questions on friction. So you have to choose the correct answer. Friction is there are four answers: non-contact force, contact force, magnetic force, electrostatic force. Come on, think. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Non-contact force. Friction is a non-contact force. Friction can be reduced by using oil, grease, powder, all of these. Come on, answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the above. So you can put oil in some cases, some case you can put powder, some case you use grease. So all the above. Third question, fluids are, what are fluids? Are the gases, are the liquids, are the gases and liquids? None of these. Come on, answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They are gases and liquids. So gases and liquids together called fluids. Okay, one more question you have. Among the following friction, the highest amount of friction can be seen in rolling friction, sliding friction, static friction, none of these. Come on, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Static friction, that is highest. Correct? Now we will pass on to one more question. Smooth surface has less friction, more friction, less or more, all of these. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Less friction. Is it not? So that is the answer for that. And last question is, which of the following is responsible for wearing out of bicycle tires? Muscular force, magnetic force, frictional force, electrostatic force. Which force is responsible? Wearing out means what? The surface becoming smoother. Okay, answer is frictional force. Friction between the tires and the floor, or yes, floor and the tires, that makes it wearing take place. So one more interesting question. A spring balance is a device used for measuring the dash acting on the object. Is it mass, pressure, force and speed? The correct answer is force. W is equal to mg, mass into gravitational force. That is spring balance. Okay. And very interesting question. The frictional force exerted by fluids is also called force, drag, pressure, mass. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's called drag. For example, aeroplane experiences drag. Sometimes it goes like this, swing. Okay. A toy car released with the same initial speed will travel farthest on a, you have seen cars, there will be a key. When you just give a key on, it starts moving out. So, where does it move farthest? Muddy surface, polished marble surface, cemented surface, brick surface. Where does the car move faster? The question. Answer is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Polished marble surface. Correct? If you, last question here, if you apply oil on door hinges, the friction will be, door hinges you have seen, in every door there will be hinges, 4 hinges will be there. So if you apply oil, will it increase the friction, decrease the friction, disappear the friction, remain unchanged. Come on, answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Decrease the friction. Door becomes smooth in movements. Correct? Now we will see home assignment. First question. Explain why objects moving in fluids must have special shapes. Just like an aeroplane has a shape of a bird. Correct? Why does it so? What arrangements will be there in ceiling fans and bicycle to reduce friction? What is a fluid? What is a lubricant? Uvacha means tells. Bhagavan Baba tells, as the sweetness of sugar is the same in the sweets of the all forms and names, divinity is the same in all people of all forms and names. So God is there in each one of us. That's why it is called Aham Brahma, Sarvam Brahma. All our thoughts, words, actions are all reflections of the same God. Okay? Just as sweets are different but sugar is same. Lights are different. Bulbs are different. Lights is current is same. Correct? So also God is same in everyone. Okay? So come prepared with the home assignments. Thank you.